Let's start that over. I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye saw a pretty little thing approaching me. I said, I've never seen a man who looked so all alone, or could you use a little company? If you pay the right price, your evening will be nice and you can go and see me on my way. I said, you're such a sweet young thing, why you do this to yourself? She looked at me and this is what she said, oh, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. And no, I can't slow down, I can't hold back. Oh, you know, I wish I could. I know there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. Now a couple minutes passed and I was walking down the street when I saw a shadow of a man creep out of sight. And then he swept it from behind, he put a gun to my head, he made it clear he wasn't looking for a fight. He said, give me all you got, I want your money, not your life, but if you try to make a move, I won't think twice. I told him, you can have my cash because you know I gotta ask what makes you want to live this kind of life. He said, there ain't no rest for the wicked, money don't grow on trees. Got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. And no, I can't slow down, I can't hold back. Oh, you know, I wish I could. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. Now a couple hours passed and I was sitting at my house. The day was winding down and coming to an end. Turned on TV and flipped it over to the news, and what I saw I almost couldn't comprehend. I saw a preacher man, he comes taking money from the church. He stuffed his bank account with righteous dollar bills. But even still I can't say much because I know we're all the same. Well, yes, we all seek out to satisfy those thrills. And no, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. We got bills to pay, we got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. And no, I can't slow down, I can't hold back. Oh, you know, I wish I could. I know there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. Hello, everyone. So today, as you can see from the title, I will be talking about big data, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about the projects I've been working on. As you can see from the picture on the screen, I'm giving a little teaser of my comic. I am very close to finishing that, so I will let you know what I will be doing with that when I finish it. Sorry, there's a fly flying around my desk. But like I said, I will keep you updated on that. I am about 2 frames out from finishing that project, or that episode per se of the comic. So I'm going to switch this to a blank screen for now, and so I want to talk a little bit about my AI. Like I've said in the past few streams, I have not made much progress with it, so this is something that is going to take time because I want to make sure that I am doing the correct process and not really just kind of forcing it to work like I have in some other times in the past. So I'm trying to really crack down on some of the bad habits I've had as a programmer, so I'm really trying to plan this one out. But I will keep you updated on that on my Twitter page if you are looking for live updates on what I'm doing. So that Twitter page is Jono Explains. I've said that in the past. It's I think there's a link to it on my homepage. So other than that, there are some other projects that I have in the works. So some other projects would be I have a couple songs that I have the music laid out for. I don't necessarily know where I'm going to go with the words for those, um, but as I work out those songs a little bit more, I might be able to perform them on the stream. So I will keep you updated on that, so you can know when I will be performing those live. Um, and also, I made a card game. I had a couple of my friends play it. They enjoyed it, so I wanted to share it with the stream. I'm gonna grab, where, there they are. I have rules printed out for this card game because it can get somewhat complex. So I wanted to talk about that, but I am going to play a short ad before I get into that so I can get some stuff set up. So I will be right back. All right, I think we're back. So I will just start going over the rules of this card game. So I have the card game here. You can see it is called Cluster, and I will mention that it is informally called Clusterfuck. I did want to keep it somewhat uh, child-friendly in case it does go on the internet and is broadcasted to a larger audience. So basically, the skeleton of this game is Texas Hold'em. So if you look at the base of it, it is just Texas Hold'em, and so that means that you go around, you bet, the dealing of cards is all the same as Texas Hold'em, barring a few minor differences, but they are simply add-ons. Nothing from Texas Hold'em is removed. So that, in a sense, you could just play Texas Hold'em and you would technically also be playing this game. But I'll get to the technicalities in a second. So there are the reason it is called Cluster is because there are 25 extra rules, and these rules are either rules I made up or rules that were borrowed from other games. And so I have thrown together this list of rules to make a dynamic rules list, and that kind of gives a new edge to Texas Hold'em because Texas Hold'em can get a little, I want to say drab. It gets boring sometimes if you're not playing with the right people. So this kind of gets people out of their shell and forces people to keep focus on all of the different things that are going on. So I'll start. There are 4 passive rules, and what I mean by passive rules, actually, I'll talk about the categories first. So the rules fall into 3 different categories. There are passive rules, there are active rules, and there are optional rules. So the passive rules are that are the rules that you have to do no matter what. They happen on their own. So these are the ones that set the game apart from Texas Hold'em because you have to do these if you're playing this version of the game. So the first one is consolation. So the consolation rule, it says that if a player folded but they would have won the hand, the winner of the hand has to tip them, and that can be any chip they so desire. It's just every time you play poker and you fold and then everybody else has a crap hand. It's a bad feeling. So I wanted them to get a little bit of a little boost, even though they've lost out on an opportunity. The second passive rule is called Destiny Bond, which I'm actually going to hold out on explaining that for a bit because I want to. It requires an explanation from a different rule in the active in the action rules. And then the same goes for funeral procession. It relates to a different rule later, so I'm going to wait. And then the fourth passive rule is the third wheel, which is when everybody except for you has a pair, which could be like 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s. So what you do when everyone has a pair, but you didn't, the winner has to tip you. So this is just something that I wanted to throw in because it sounded funny. So it's kind of almost rubbing it in their face that they didn't have a pair. So then we get into the action rules. And I don't know if I'm going to go over all of the action rules. I might just sort of give some highlights, just because if you are interested in the game, I want you to go read it for yourself. But if you aren't interested, I don't want to take up your time. So the big ones are alliances, and alliance is something that relates to destiny bond. So I'll explain alliance first. An alliance is when you can negotiate with another player across the table or next to you or something and say, hey, do you want to form an alliance? And if they accept, at the end of the hand, you choose the best combination of 5 cards from your hand, their hand, and the pot on or the cards on the table. Now, the kicker on this is that you don't ever get to know what the other person's hand is until the end of the round. So this is kind of just like it's kind of like playing your odds so that you have a better chance of collectively winning the pot. And by collectively winning, I mean that if one of you wins, both of you win, so you have to split the pot amongst you. So that's the alliance rule. Now, destiny bond is when there's a couple. It's rare, but in poker there's many situations where people will have the exact same hand and they have to split the pot. And so what I did in the passive rules is I made it so that those people are forced into an alliance for the next hand. So no matter what, they have to split the pot again. This is just something to kind of it's just kind of like a luck of the draw thing. So if it could help them out, but at the same time, if someone has a really good hand, then they got screwed over a little bit. But that's just something to add a new luck factor to it. So then there are a bunch of rules from other card games. Like I said, there's blackjack. If you have a pocket pair, you can split them and start taking hits. And if you bust 21, you lose those cards. But if you stay under 21, then you can keep all of those cards and use them to get your best 5. There's a rule from spoons. So the card game Spoons, when you get 4 of a kind, there's a spoon on the table, you can grab it, you immediately get whatever's in the pot, and the round is over. Then I added in a rule from Rummy, and this rule from Rummy is that if you see that someone else won, but that person doesn't realize that they have a better hand, you can call Rummy and you get the pot. So this you can do that even if you're folded. So if you're just looking at everyone's hands and someone says, "Oh, that person has a better pair than me, they won," but it turns out that the person that said that has a straight, you could say, "Rummy, you have a straight, point it out. If you're correct, you get the pot." There's also Sandwich, which is from Egyptian Rat Race or Egyptian Rat Screw or Slaps, whatever you call it. This is when there's maybe like a 6-5-6, so it's a combination. But this is when it's on the flop. So the flop is the first 3 cards after the first round of betting. So if the flop is in the order of a sandwich, if you slap it, you're the only person that gets the benefit of that pair. So if let's say it was a 6-5-6, then you're the only person that can use the 2 6s as a pair. And and so nobody else can use them as a pair. Now they can use them in a straight or a flush if they need be. So then there's spoons, like I said, and then Uno. Uno doesn't necessarily have to do with Uno the card game as much. It just kind of played in. It made sense to call it that. What you can do is you can fold all of the cards in your hand except for one if you think that that one is going to win you the hand. And what the benefit of doing so is that you only have to pay half of the bets anyone else bets, or if you bet something, everybody else has to pay double, unless they Uno as well, and then it evens out. And then 99. So it's the card game 99. If you don't know the card game 99, it's very fast paced. It's kind of bizarre, but it basically is you're putting cards down and you add up the face value to this hypothetical value of the discard pile. And if you're the person that puts that value over 99, you lose. But there's some special cards, and the special cards are what's significant for this. Is that so the special cards are a king, a 4, a 9, a 10, and an ace, but the ace is irrelevant in this case. So what the 4 does is it doesn't count for value and it reverses the order. So let's say you're at 99 and you play a 4, then if it was going clockwise, it goes counterclockwise. If you play a 9, it doesn't affect the rotation, but it's basically skipping you, so it has no value. A 10 can subtract 10 if you so choose. It can also add 10, but in this case, you wouldn't want to add 10. I'll explain that, because the way that you enact this rule is if you have a king in your hand, you can call 99 and place it face up for everyone to see, and the person to your left must continue the game of 99 with what's in their hand. So they can use a 4 to send it back to you. They can use a 9 to move it on. They can use another king to just put it back to 99, which is something you can do in the game of 99. And you can use a 10 to bring it down to 89, and I made that the stopping criteria. So either someone loses or someone plays a 10 and brings it down to 89, which makes the game of 99 void for the time being until someone else plays a king. So, but what happens if someone loses is that they fold. Also, there's a game I forgot at the start. Is BS, the card game. So that's, and the way I implemented it into this game is at the end of the hand, you can simply claim to have something, and if everyone believes you, you get the hand. But if someone calls you for BSing, then one, you must show your cards, and if you were actually BSing, then you have to pay the largest bet of that hand. So let's say there was one really large bet in that hand, then you have to pay that. So that goes to the true winner. So it's a little difficult to work around, but if you get the game moving fast enough, that could work in your favor. And then the last one I want to talk about in the action rules is the super hand. And the super hand is something that is slightly added on to the Texas Hold'em. So in Texas Hold'em, you normally only get 2 cards when you and I'm playing. I said in the start of the rules that I just made it so that you ante in before you get your cards, as opposed to having a blind system. It just makes the game a little bit simpler because of all the other complexities. I wanted to add that aspect of simplicity. But when you ante, if you pay the largest chip that you have available, so not necessarily your largest chip, but like the largest chip that you started with. So if you had 4 chips, then it's the fourth one, the largest one. Then you can get 5 cards at the start of that hand. So you just get a little bit of an edge, but then you're risking more money because the 4th chip is significantly larger than the chip you would normally ante with, the smallest chip. So those are the highlights of the action rules. There are many more, like I said. There's 25 different rules, but there's 3 final ones, and these are the optional rules, so you don't have to play with these. This is the drinking game, the strip game, and a third one that's just added in for fun. The drinking game is whenever someone says "wait, what," they have to take a shot. So if if you're getting people a lot really confused, you can interpret that rule a little bit more with some gray area. So whenever someone says something that shows that they're confused by a rule or something like that, then they have to take a shot. I said that this would soothe their confusion. Um, the fun rule that I just added in is called Kiss the Ring, and it's somewhat like how in Catan, the board game, if you win, then you are proclaimed Lord of Catan. This rule shows that when the winner wins, all of the other players that played have to write that person a note complimenting their intelligence. And then the final rule, the strip game, is that if you lose at any particular card game in the rule set, or in a 1v1, which is explained in the rules, then you have to remove an article of clothing. And there's also another one where if you take a loan and you don't pay them back in a certain amount of time, and they're trying to foreclose on you, then you can throw clothes at them so you can remove an article of clothing and avoid that foreclosure for one hand. So that's the general overview of my card game. If anyone is interested, I will either send this to you personally, or I can upload it somehow on the internet and post a link to it. So I am pretty excited about that, and I will be trying to play that with my friends a lot more. I'm probably not going to participate in any of the optional rules other than Kiss the Ring, but for now at least. And then, but that I put that in there because they seemed fun. So that is the general overview of my card game. I'm going to play a short ad, and we'll get into the main topic of today, which is big data. So I'll be right back. Okay, I believe we're back. So, first off, I'll give you a general overview of what I'll be talking about. So, first, I'm going to define what big data is to the best of my ability, and then I will go into a little bit more detail into how it is used, and I'm going to finish off by explaining why this topic intrigues me personally and what implications I see it having for my personal future. So I will start off with the basic definition. So we have big data, and so I'm sure if you are that's not the correct words. I'm sure if you are familiar with anything in the science community or in the business community or anything, you've heard these words together. Now, the big names in big data are Google, Amazon, and I believe Walmart has a lot into it. And so basically what big data is, it's just a sort of vague category of data collection for having a large warehouse of data, maybe from many different sources. So you have all these spreadsheets and warehouses of data being coagulated into one giant source of numbers and statistics on anything. So the way this applies to the big names in big data, if you look at Google, for instance, Google can track. Well, the one that's obvious is how much people are searching a specific word or buzzword, and then there's other ones that are also important. So a lot of things like Amazon will track how long you'll hover over specific buttons before you click on them, or if you don't click on them, where you are looking on the page based off of where your mouse is, because the web page knows where your mouse is for things like the little like pop-up bubbles that when you hover over something pops up. The code has to know where your mouse is for that to happen. So what a lot of companies are doing is they are tracking where your mouse goes, and they're keeping it specific to your IP address and your computer, so that when you come to that website the next time, it is more streamlined for you. So a lot of these ideas can be scary in a sense, coming from a especially to people in the older generation, because they don't really see the benefits of this coming on the horizon. Now, I agree that there is a lot of privacy questions and moral questions that come along with this idea of tracking everything, because that much information could be used in bad ways, obviously. But so basically, a general definition of big data is just many data points and many statistics being taken in and stored from many sources into one gigantic data warehouse. This can be in the cloud. This can be just on a company's personal computer farm. This is just a big storage of bits and bytes that that has a lot of implications into our future. So why does this have implications into our future? So what companies can do with these data points is create models of the average consumer. And this doesn't just apply to business, but it's easier to explain it from a business model, and I'll explain some more applications afterwards. So a company can keep track of a specific customer, and not necessarily one specific customer. So it's not like Amazon has a tag on you and is specifically watching you. They're watching everyone. And the thing is that they can form a model of the average consumer and tailor their website to that average consumer. But not only that, because they can keep track of a specific consumer individually, so they can say, okay, this IP address is looking at the website. What did they do last time? They can look at the entire history of that consumer's viewing of their website, and they can use the data that they have to build a model of what that consumer will do, so that they can streamline and personalize the experience on their website for that consumer. So let's say that I'm pretty big on fishing. So let's say I was looking at fishing stuff on Amazon. So now that Amazon knows that, Amazon can start tracking where I normally look on web pages and start putting specific ads here on the web page, because maybe I tend to look at that specific spot of the web page more. And they'll say, hey, there's a big deal on fishing stuff. Come look at it. So we got our fishing rod, and you're catching a fish. So then me as a consumer, I say, "Oh wow, that's a neat coincidence. I was just looking at phishing stuff," and then I click on it. And so now they've got me because I am interested, and they've also followed up on what I've looked at in the past to uh, reel me in with a metaphorical fishing rod of business advertisement. But this doesn't just apply to advertisement because they can establish an emotional connection with the consumers because they can start sending emails that are specifically tailored to a consumer, and the analytics don't stop there because the data collection continues when you open your email. They can email providers like Google, Gmail, and actually any email provider really has the capability of tracking one, whether you've opened the email, how long you look at an email, how long it takes you to scroll down the email, where your mouse looks on the email, how long the mouse stays on a specific spot. There's so many data points that a company can track based off of in just one simple email that they send to you. So they can find that maybe if you're a person that just deletes emails, you are no longer a you are no longer someone that they are interested in pursuing. Now, if you are someone that maybe unsubscribed from the email, then there's always those little surveys once you click the unsubscribe button that say, what is the reason you unsubscribed? Because you were getting too many emails, things like that. And they can use that data, maybe not on you, but on a similar consumer to better their experience with their product and with their presentation of advertisement. So this is a big step in terms of the business side because now it always seemed like business was trying to like trap the consumers, and it always seems like the business is out to get you. But now businesses can actually understand the consumers and connect with them so that they can actually tailor the experience to be better for a specific consumer. So now you may think, how can someone tailor an experience to a subjective notion? Maybe the I don't know if I'm trying to think of a good example, but so there are a lot of subjective data points that you can't necessarily put a number on. But the thing is, if you create a strong enough model, then you of a consumer's behavior, you can predict when a consumer is going to do something, and you can be ready for them so that you can maybe get a consumer's attention when they're actually looking. So this can apply to emails. If someone tends to read their emails at a specific time, then let's say Amazon may send them an email closer to that time so that they're more likely to be read and their advertisement is more effective. So there's a lot of things that this data collection can improve in terms of efficiency of processes. But more importantly, this big data aspect has a lot of implications into other more day-to-day industries, maybe the medical industry. Let's look at what kinds of big data could be in the medical industry. Well, we have completely mapped the human genome, and we've also and are constantly mapping more more genomes of other people. So, and people are constantly coming into clinics and with symptoms, and there's lots of problems with cancer and whatnot. So what big data analysis can do is if it clumps all this data into a big warehouse and starts to build models of maybe the symptoms of a specific virus or something like that, then then when a patient comes into a clinic and starts listing off symptoms, all a doctor will have to do is start plugging in these symptoms, and then this model or this algorithm will pop out an answer saying, hey, these are the percentage chances that this person has all of these problems. And now there is another side to this. I read a book on this whole topic recently. So because of all of this data collection analytics, it's starting to look as if the human worker will be put out of work soon. But the truth is that the human humans in general tend to evolve to the situation. And what will become more important is that emotional connection. Because like I said, although models can be created, it is difficult to idealize a subjective idea and concept into numbers. So then there will always be a need for that emotional connection of the doctor. And there's also the idea that maybe the information is invalid. So a patient may come into a clinic with claiming all these symptoms, and you need to have a doctor that can see through the veil of ambiguity and see the real picture. But in terms of quick action, quick diagnosis, the computers will always have us beat. And this big data idea is what is actually allowing for this improvement to the medical the medical industry. So, like I said, there are a lot of things like, so we have search engines like Watson, this AI technology, who is helping in hospitals with quickly searching databases, finding patients' records and whatnot, so that diagnosis can be quickly. Okay, so a situation can be quickly diagnosed, so that medicine can be applied when it needs to and not retrospectively. So this is important for things that can become more dangerous and more costly as time goes on, like cancer. If cancer is found fairly quickly, it is treatable in most cases nowadays. And although we are still the dream is to find a cure for all cancers, treating it is also an important idea at the current moment. So this big data idea can help us diagnose things very quick and start applying treatments before more costly, more dangerous treatments are necessary, and before you hit a stage of cancer that is that you can't come back from. So there's a lot to take in with this idea, and there's a lot of promise, and like I said, there are some scary aspects to it because of that lack of privacy. But I wanted to show how this applies to my future and how I am excited for this idea. So as we know, I have done a lot of work in AI, and although I am currently at somewhat of a roadblock, I am pretty happy with what I have created so far. Now, I don't think that this next step is on the doorstep per se of my career, but I do think that I will be able to at least begin working on this project in the near future. And so the project I'm talking about is slightly adjusting my current AI, or perhaps after I test around with the deep, what was it, the deep learning AI, I can tailor that program to begin writing models from large databases and start. So I can get my AI to start data mining these data warehouses and creating these models so that numbers can be plugged in and um, inferences can be made on a variety of different categories. Now, I myself don't have expertise in a lot of different business aspects and medical aspects, but the thing is that if I and the AI if the AI and I were to team up with someone that has that expertise and that experience, my numbers could help them make more accurate inferences or more timely inferences on a given situation. So the what I plan to look at is, let's say that there are all of these different variables and whatnot that are statistics in the warehouse, and so these are going to be inputs into my AI, just like how this is similar to the picture I was drawing for the deep learning, um, the deep learning AI. So now my AI can go in and first off see which one of these. Well, let's not take this from an intuitive approach. Let's take this from the AI's approach. So the AI can come in and randomly start making formulas. So let's just say x plus y squared plus ln of z is equal to n. So let's just say the AI makes this random equation and it assigns this x, this y, this z. Um, and n being our answer or our output. So the AI can assign weights based off of maybe a quadratic system or maybe a coefficient. So it could be like 2x plus 4y squared plus 5 ln z. And these random weights would be forming this model of popping out a percentage point of a specific statistic. So let's say our statistic was, this applies to a class I'm taking, so I'm going to use this example. Let's say we have a sports stadium that's selling tickets to the game, and they want to know what is the percentage chance that a customer will come back to the next game and buy a ticket. Because this is important. In a business model, you want reoccurring customers so that, especially for this big data system, you can start tailoring the experience to these customers so that they may want to spend more money, they may want to come back more, they may want to bring friends, and so on. So our n here is going to be the percentage chance that consumer will rebuy. And so this is a very important number because this can very significantly change how you will advertise with that specific customer and whatnot. So let's say we had an n, that's an m, an n of maybe 0.05. Now, this means that a person is very unlikely to come back and buy another ticket. This is a 5% chance. So, I mean, there is some chance that they will come back, but there is a very small chance. So, it may be a good idea for the company to simply leave these people alone. Now, on first thought, you may want to think that you would focus on these people because these are the people you are going to lose, But given that this person has such a low chance of wanting to rebuy a ticket, there may be no chance of changing their mind. So this person is a no-go. You don't want to put any effort into them. They are a lost cause. So then we can consider maybe an N of 0.95. And so then this is the opposite case. This is someone who is very likely to rebuy. And it turns out that similarly, you shouldn't really look at this person either, because they are very likely to rebuy a ticket on their own, so you don't really have to do anything. So this person you don't have to put any effort into. So what numbers are important? Well, if you look at someone who has maybe an N of 0.65, so if you have a 65% chance of this consumer coming back to rebuy, then it's a significant jump in profit if instead of 65% of these people coming, you get maybe 85% of these people coming back. And so these people who are sitting on the fence, metaphorically, are the ones you want to focus on. So what did this do? This took an entire population of consumers and it narrowed down the people that you have to go send out emails to and start nagging about buying a new ticket. Or perhaps these are the people that you randomly send a promotional coupon or say, hey, why don't you try this out for the next game? And you can get these people to come back, and then they will be hooked because they've come twice, or something like that. So these are the kind of statistics that can come out of these models, but it would take a long time if for some reason this was the model that I needed. This would be a very simple model, and it already looks pretty complex on its own. Imagine if there are 500 inputs that are necessary for an accurate model. So what the computer can do, and what my AI will hopefully be able to do, is to look through these inputs, randomly assign them into weights and multiplications and whatnot into this gigantic equation, and form a model that through genetic evolution will get better and better and better at representing this statistical value we've talked about, of n. So but it's not just restricted to whether a consumer will come back. This could be applied in any direction. Maybe you want to see how likely someone is to bring friends. Because if someone is likely to bring friends, then maybe you'll start giving them a free ticket every once in a while. So they'll pull in a new consumer base. So this has a lot to do. There's a lot of implications with these models that computers can generate. But I think that my genetic AI has a good shot at, if not quickly, at least creating a more sophisticated model than I would just through simple intuition, because I don't necessarily understand the industry that a specific warehouse of data may apply to. So that's the general overview of big data, and this is something that I will be planning to look into the future, because I think this is something that I could actually apply into a career. This is an idea that could possibly be used if maybe a let's say a restaurant were having trouble advertising to the public. I could come in as a consultant, analyze their consumer base through surveys and whatnot, and apply that data into a a into my AI to form a model of their consumer base so that I can now help them with with decisions in terms of where they want to advertise and what kind of advertisement they want to talk about, what promotional ideas, maybe partnerships. So that's the idea that I'm working with and I'm kind of tossing around in my head. It does seem intriguing and it does seem like a very possible and fruitful career for me, at least in the start. In terms of what I want to do with my career, I would like to start my own business. And that is something, one of the reasons that I started this channel is because I want to, one, force myself to keep working on my AI, which has been difficult lately just because of the roadblock, but I am getting by. And two, to kind of slowly get my name out as a person that is that knows what they're doing in the realm of programming, in the realm of AI, and in the realm of logical thinking in general. Because in a crazy world that can put three people that maybe not anyone wants to vote for on the ballot, I think logic is a valuable asset to have in the coming future. So that is all I have to say on this topic of big data. I am going to move on to my usual segment where I draw something. This will be the first time that I am drawing with the pen tablet, so that is exciting. So stick around. I have a short ad while I get ready, but I want to thank you for watching so far. Okay, I believe we're back. I'm just getting my calculator ready for the random numbers. So we'll go straight into it. The first random number is 20, which is canned corn. The second random number is 14, which is sit. And the third random number is 9, which is intense. So we will have an intense can of corn sitting, or a can of corn sitting in an intense situation. Make sure I put my calculator back in my backpack so I don't forget it. So let's start off with the basics. We'll draw this can of corn. Pardon the scratchiness. I am choosing to go with a more pencil approach to drawing simply because that's my preferred medium, and that is what I have been doing a lot with my comic. So we have this can, so we're gonna, I don't know, we'll get some green, and I did not completely fill in the can, so we're just going to draw a line down here, and I think that should, maybe not. That looks more complete, and we're just gonna go with some shading actually. So we'll have this corn stalk, and just for some detail, and so we have a lot of things to work with. Maybe, I don't know if a can can necessarily sit just because it doesn't have a butt. So I think what I'm going to opt for is a slightly different interpretation of this idea. I think we're going to have someone sitting intensely on, sitting and thinking intensely while on this can of corn. Um, so we have our stalk of corn, and we're going to have this image wrap around the can here. And so we have a little bit more shade over here just for emphasis on the roundness of the can, and perhaps it gets a little lighter, and we're gonna color in the corn a little bit just for some texture. You know, there are a lot of people that don't like corn. My sister, for example, was not a big fan of corn. I, on the other hand, enjoy it because I enjoy a somewhat vegetable-like plant having a decent flavor. There is a strange texture to it, I will give it that, but you can't really beat well-buttered corn thrown on the grill on a summer day. Now, I am partial. I live in Florida, so summer days are a little bit more enjoyable for me. The current one is rainy, so maybe corn is not for today, but we are talking about it anyway. So we have our can of corn, and we have our pull tab. My grandma actually collects these tabs, so that's fun. So we have our aluminum can of corn. We will assume that there is corn inside based off of our graciously provided image of corn. And so now we have to work on the sitting aspect and the intense aspect. So what would be an intense way to sit? Maybe I'm going to go a little bit interesting with this, but stay with me. I'm going to first start drawing a person. But this is no ordinary person. This is a person in overalls. And you may think that's not too out of the ordinary, but don't you worry, because this person themselves is actually a stalk of corn. So this person is sitting on a can of corn, and they are sitting intensely because they are actually going to be going Super Saiyan. In a moment you will see, but I need to finish drawing the overalls, and they're gonna actually have corn slippers, so I will work on drawing that. I need to actually go in and erase some of these lines that aren't important to the person actually themselves. So now we have this person, this corn person, is sitting on a can of corn, and they are kind of gripping the air because they are actually lighting up pretty much on fire, and they are going to be going into a new power level of corn. Now this corn is somewhat backwards, having a pineapple top, but that is actually the hair of the corn. Corn does actually have hair, so that is interesting. If you are ever eating corn, it has some little fibers that are in between the actual kernels. Now, Despite childhood dreams, normal corn does not pop in the microwave, but that is just a fun fact of the day. So we can add some simple shading in here and work on that. Just to get the lighting to be relatively even. And so we have our overalls. Now these, I forgot how overalls actually work. They actually come down, excuse me, and they clip there. So we have this corn. He is very angry. We can draw a face on him, but it won't be as visible due to the texture of the corn itself. So I'm going to probably ruin this picture by going in and drawing some texturing into this coloring. So we're going to get some yellow, and we'll put some yellow in here. And we'll get the green. Just to give a new aspect to this corn. Speaking with the analytics side of this, having a prettier can is somewhat important in catching the attention of the consumer. Statistics would probably back that. I don't have any on me, but I do have statistics on me in my head. That tends to be something that people keep track of, is what they do. That is something that I am trying to apply into my AI, is keeping track of what has been done so that it is not done more than once. So I think we're getting a nice picture here. I'm enjoying the texture aspect. It is quite stress relieving to just poke the hell out of this tablet here. I'm sure the clicking is just wonderful on your ears, and it is showing in the mic, so that's great. I'm gonna do that even more actually. So I will finish off with the blue jeans, the overalls, but they are denim, so they are blue jeans actually. And I think, I need to color in the feet. And we'll get some more texture in the arms. And we'll finish off by coloring, that is not the color I want. We'll finish off by coloring in these flames. And I think for a finishing touch, we'll probably color in the top of that can with some gray. So now we can ponder why this corn is so angry and intense. Perhaps this is the corn preparing to honor their fallen comrade. Now I don't know if corn mourn their dead, much like elephants. Elephants do mourn their dead, but it would be interesting to ask one. So the next time you see a stalk of corn, maybe, on second thought, bringing up such an emotional event might be a little bit traumatic to corn. I don't know if that's something that they would necessarily want to talk about, but I've never talked to corn before. So we've got this strange looking turkey, and I think we have a finished product. I have gone over an hour, which is slightly longer than usual. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I will be posting this picture on Twitter for all of your viewing pleasure. I will be back on schedule. So Wednesday, I believe I'm going to be closer to this 8 o'clock time, like I've said. I will be posting about it on Snapchat for my friends and Twitter for all of my other viewers. all 9 of my Twitter followers, with one of them being me. So if you are not following me on Twitter and you have a Twitter account, I would greatly appreciate the support. That number makes me feel good inside when I see it go up, but half the time it's just robot accounts. So, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will be signing off, but I'll see you on Wednesday.